All right, we should be good to go. Hello, everyone, welcome back to a new episode of Lunch and Debates. I am your host, Dibo, doing another solo episode for today, man. Shoot, let's get after it. Currently, 8:25, not 8:25, I'm sorry, August 29th, late afternoon, chilling out here right now in the studio room. Not as always, but a good amount of time. And with it being late August, football is right around the corner, man. I know college football, week one officially starts tonight. A lot of great games this Thursday. Can't wait for that. We just had a banger last week in Ireland. Shout out Georgia Tech. They took down number 10 ranked Florida State in an absolute grind out win. Salute to Hanks King, Brent Key, and them boys. They played a fun, physical brand of football throughout that game, controlled the tempo, controlled the pace throughout all four quarters, showed their dominance on both sides of the ball. And yeah, man, great upset win, great debut game to kick off a brand new year of college football, especially in the season with so many changes. Obviously, we got the 12-team playoff now for the college football playoff. That's going to be insane. Lots of new teams going to be in that tournament for this year, and all the realignment within the major conferences. Unfortunately, the Pac-12 is no more. Sadly, we're not going to get those Pac-12 after dark games every Saturday night anymore. But it's football. College football is insane. Year in, year out, man. And shoot, I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna be locked in for this whole year, man. I can't wait for the podcast and social media platforms. Expect to see a ton more college football content throughout the year. So I can't wait for that, man. I really can't. Also, shout out college football 25, man. That's bro. That's only increased my excitement for the season even more, man. I've been so locked in on that game since it dropped last month. I've been going crazy, man. I'm on my fourth rebuild right now in Dynasty. Ball State, baby. We are in our seventh year right now in the Big Ten. We're about to play in the first round of college football playoffs. So, hey, man, it's crazy, but I love that game, man. It's a blast for sure. It's a blast. And also, next week, professional football, NFL's about to kick off. Obviously, Thursday night, we'll have Chiefs Ravens. Baltimore is going to pull up to Arrowhead Stadium in a rematch of last year's AFC Championship game. That's going to be a fun one as well. Football, it's almost near. And, oh, bro, it's exciting, man. It is really exciting. And speaking of NFL football, for the agenda today, mainly it's going to be light. It's going to be a little light. Hopefully, if there's enough time for me, including Matt as well, hopefully we can both be on here for next week's episode. Maybe even other people too as well, but that's we'll get there when we get there. But for next week, we should have a NFL season preview video planned, and I hope to get that out before Thursday night's game. But we will have to see. So, going to the actual agenda for this episode, again, it's going to be NFL based, and it's going to be pretty straightforward. I will list 5 teams and 5 quarterbacks this upcoming NFL season that are under the most pressure to win this year. Hey, fun, right? Exciting? Yeah, man. So I can't wait for that. Want to kick into it, man, pronto. But a little segment before we switch gears to the more main ones. Let's go back to college football and let's talk about probably the biggest draw in the sport right now in Colorado. The Buffs, Coach Prime, with Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter, they are going to be in their second year in Boulder. And for tonight, they are going to match up against FCS powerhouse North Dakota State. And as of right now, for the line, Colorado are currently 10.5 point favorites over a touchdown according to FanDuel to beat North Dakota State. And I'll just say this, you know, for months leading up to this matchup, there's been a lot of people talking about Colorado getting upset tonight. And I will say this, if you do believe that, then that's your opinion. Absolutely fine. I'm not knocking on you for that at all. Although North Dakota State, they're not the same powerhouse like back in the day when they had great QB prospects like Carson Wentz leading the helm, winning FCS championships year in year out, going undefeated season by season. They're still a very good team. And which I want to go back to saying this. I'm not gonna lie. Most people who are picking North Dakota State to cover the spread and beat Colorado tonight, the hate of Coach Prime, Shador, and Colorado is clouding their judgment. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you guys. North Dakota State, they're not doing it, man. The upset, it's not gonna happen. It's not the same team as the past decade, man. You know, back in the early 2010s, early mid 2010s, man. Like it's not. They're not the same team. They haven't won an FCS championship since 2021. That was the last year also where they were the number one ranked team in FCS. I know they're still physical. They're gonna maul you down all 4 quarters. Their O line still dominant. But with Colorado, I just think they have too much talented. Excuse me. I just think with Colorado they have too much talent, along with having too much speed, especially when you have the wide receivers like a Travis Hunter who is super dynamic, and Jimmy Horn as well too. He was great last year in his first year at CU as well. Them going up against North Dakota State's corners who do lack juice, they do lack explosiveness. That is a horrible matchup. So if Colorado, if they can control the game early, if for defensively, if they can get off the field on a lot of short drives, stop North Dakota State from running down the clock, managing the time, controlling the tempo and pace of the game, I think this first week will be an easy one for Colorado. And I do expect them to beat North Dakota State by 2 or more scores. And if I get this prediction wrong, hey, I was wrong. You know, I'm going to come on here next week if they do lose, and I'm going to apologize because from my position, that's what you should do. Whenever you get something wrong, you got to come on here, be a man, you know, own up to your mistakes, and apologize because you didn't get it right. And that's what I'm going to do if that ever happens. They get upset. But I don't see that being a possibility. Really, Colorado, man. Do I see them making the playoffs this year? No, absolutely not. Even with the expanded playoff bracket. But are they going to make a bowl game? Get at minimum 6 wins? Yeah, I think that's very possible, man. I really do. And I think they're going to start off the win column with a controlled win over North Dakota State. Just my opinion. Sorry, man. Hey, but if North Dakota State if they do pull it off, bro, Twitter, social media in general is gonna be crazy, man. They're just waiting. They're waiting to cook them boys. They're waiting to cook all of them, man. And we saw a glimpse of that this off season when you know yeah the transferred player on Colorado, he was talking about the program and how Dion treated him while he was at Colorado, and Shador and Dion obviously responded, and it just started a whole frenzy on Twitter, like college football. That side of Twitter, they're going crazy. They're making them the whole day. It was crazy to look back at, but hey, if that does happen, if they do upset again, it's gonna be insane on that platform. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. But hey, hoping for a good game, hoping for a good product, and yeah, man, college football's here, so shoot, it's gonna be a blast for sure. All right, moving on to our actual agenda for today's episode. Let's kick things off with the top five quarterbacks under the most pressure heading into this season. Gonna be a good one. All right, let's start at number five, and we'll go to the NFC, and that is Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott. Look, man, with Dak in his career, a lot of great passing numbers, lots of great regular season stats, a lot of winning in the regular season. The Cowboys are usually a 10 plus win team year in, year out under the Prescott era, no matter who the coach is. But when it comes to January football, and when it matters the most, as we know, the Cowboys, and specifically Dak, they have disappointed year after year after year. And with Dak, I think he's firmly placed in the top 10 quarterbacks list in this league. I just think he's dynamic, has a great processor, can create plays when he wants to, can push the ball down the field at an efficient manner. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the entire league. We know this for sure. But when it comes to the postseason, January football, when you're going up against the NFL's elite, the Cowboys and Dak, throughout these last few years, have shown that they are not built for it. They have shown that they consistently choke time after time after time again. And with Prescott, obviously in the 2025 offseason, he is going to be a free agent. And with all the news going on around CeeDee Lamb, obviously there is some drama trying to get his new contract deal, get a new extension going. He just got that. But when it comes to Michael Parsons, he wants to get paid really soon too. And with Jerry Jones, he has been very reluctant to give Dak Prescott long-term money. So when it comes to this year, and if the Cowboys disappoint once again, lose in the wild card divisional round, I don't see a reality where Dak Prescott will be the Cowboys quarterback moving forward. I don't think so at all. So for Dak Prescott, January results, they got to come in, man. You have to show that you are a capable enough quarterback to lead this Cowboys team to the promised land. And if he doesn't, then bye-bye Dallas. It's over. Simple as that. So that is my number 5 pick. Only reason why I have Prescott much lower on this list is obviously because if he does leave Dallas, then there's going to be so many teams trying to get his services. Compared to the other 4 on this list, I don't see that happening in the near future for sure. All right, moving to number 4 on the list, we're going to stay with the NFC, and we're going to talk about Derek Carr. And with Derek Carr, obviously, in the 2022 offseason, They made the big move to get Derek Carr. They made the big move to get him that big extension as well. The Saints thought post Jameis Winston era, that little segment, they thought that Derek Carr would be the quarterback that would bring them towards being a real team in the NFC. Obviously, with what we saw in 2023, that was not the case. With the easiest schedule of all the teams in the NFL, in the worst division by far in the entire league, Derek Carr throughout that year was very mediocre. The offense was super stagnant. The red zone offense was one of the worst in the entire league, especially. And that was largely due to Derek Carr being timid in the pocket, not extending plays, not creating for himself, not pushing the ball down the field. And for the Saints, who they can possibly opt out of his contract if they release him after June 1st this year, they can save 20 mil in cap. If Carr disappoints again this season, in I know the Falcons, they got way better with Kirk Cousins. Obviously, the NFC East South is still a weak division. If they miss the playoffs and not win the division again in the NFC South, then Carr's gone. Simple as that. And let's not forget, at the backup spot, there's a quarterback who they just drafted in the 5th round. His name's Spencer Rattler. And Rattler, what he did in the preseason was very, very impressive. Now, I know preseason ball, people can take it with a grain of salt. A lot of vanilla defenses throughout. But with Rattler and his play, he showed something that Derek Carr has not shown during his time in New Orleans. Creating outside the pocket, using his legs, pushing the ball down the field, showing off his great arm talent. That's what they saw out of Spencer Rattler. Not with Derek Carr. And so I don't think Rattler is going to take over the starting QB spot. I think they're going to roll out with Carr for the whole entire year, pay his contract dividends. But for the Saints, man, we got a quarterback, a young quarterback, who has traits that the starter just simply does not have. And with these fans, they want to see something new. They want to see something exciting. They want something to believe in. So that just increases the pressure on Derek Carr to succeed even more this season. That dynamic is crazy, man. Hey, it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out throughout the year. But at number 4, I got Derek Carr being in this spot. Results got to come, man. All right, let's move into the AFC, specifically the AFC North. We're going to talk about Deshaun Watson. And with Deshaun and his Browns team, Cleveland, they made the playoffs last year, all the way down to their 4th-string quarterback in Joe Flacco, who for the majority of the year was sitting on the couch in sweatpants, eating potato chips. And in the games he played that year, you compare Flacco's stats to Watson's that season, you could possibly say Flacco had a better year than Deshaun. And for a QB that has all the money that he's got right now, the most guaranteed quarterback in the NFL, a quarterback who at his peak with Houston was previously an elite talent. But as of right now, especially with the lack of games he's played during his time in Cleveland, we have not seen that talent, not even close. And I'm not even sure that we're ever going to see that talent again, even though you can sprinkle some of his performances throughout, like last year, the second half against Baltimore, willing that team to come back win. That's not enough. And so for Deshaun, man, you have this Browns team who I think they're one of the most talented in the entire league by far on both sides of the ball. This Browns team can make a deep run at the AFC. I can see a reality if Watson plays adequate football to where they can make the AFC title game and potentially compete against Kansas City down the line. But we don't know that because of Deshaun and his mediocre play. So for Deshaun, it's your first year being really healthy. You have the weapons you need except for Nick Chubb. Obviously, we don't know how he's going to perform after his horrific knee injury. But pretty much you have all the weapons you can get to compete in the AFC. The time is now to show up and get results. It really is. Now, moving to the top two, we're going to stick with the AFC North again, moving to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that is Russell Wilson. And for Russell Wilson, to me, in Pittsburgh, I think this is his last chance to prove himself as an NFL starter. And with Russ, last year, obviously you had the drama between him and Sean Payton towards the end of the year. But the winning streak that came before that, a lot of people were saying Russ is back. A lot of people were saying Russ is playing, borderline Pro Bowler level football during that whole stretch. To me, when I actually looked at the games, looked at the film, it was not like that at all. I think with the offense and how Russ succeeded, it was a lot due to Sean Payton shrinking the playbook, limiting Russ to being a game manager. And I think a lot of people can say that he was really good based off his numbers. But like I said before, I didn't think that was the case at all. I think Russ played very mediocre football throughout that entire year. And in Pittsburgh, you have a new scenery, brand new fresh start. I think the weapons, especially in the run game, is way more suitable towards being an actually dependable, respectable offense in the NFL. New scheme with Arthur Smith. They're gonna run the ball a ton. And for Pittsburgh, and the goal for us this year is to not be like Kenny Pickett, to not to actually manage this offense, to actually let this offense not be the worst in the league dead last. So that's the goal for us, and especially for the Steelers, their goal to make the playoffs this year and actually be somewhat of a dark horse in the AFC. A lot of expectation is on this man to perform in his first year in Pittsburgh. And let's not forget, although the QB battle was not clear at all, we knew day one that Russ was going to be the starter heading into September. You got a guy like Justin Fields. I lost faith in that man. I don't think he can be a high level quarterback in this league anymore. But at the same time, Fields has a higher ceiling, and if Russ performs really poorly, they don't got that long of a leash. They don't have a long leash to keep him at the starting QB spot. They don't. He's only on a $2 million 1-year contract. If he performs bad, well, that experiment's over. Bring Justin Fields in, make him the starter, and we'll roll with it. So Russ, when it comes to his NFL career right now, a lot is at stake this year. It really is. And for a guy that before he moved to Denver was being put into Hall of Fame talks, hey man, I do not want to see that man performing badly in Pittsburgh because if he does perform bad this season, then any praise of his career that he previously had is gonna be down the drain. So I don't want that to happen to Russ for sure. All right, moving on to the number one spot. We're gonna go back to the NFC, and we're gonna talk about Daniel Jones for the New York Giants. And for Daniel Jones, it's just plain and simple. We're in year 6 of the Daniel Jones era in New York. And to put it bluntly, most of that time has been complete shit. I just have to keep it honest. It's been horrible. And outside of Brian Daboll's first year as head coach, leading the Giants to the playoffs, being Minnesota on the road in the wild card round, other than that season, Daniel Jones has not shown enough to be even an adequate starting quarterback in this league. And for Jones right now, you look at this Giants team, they have talent. They have a decent amount of talent, especially on defense. They're going to be in a ton of games this year. And for Daniel Jones, obviously you got Drew Lock at the backup spot. For Jones, man, if it's the same stuff like the rest of his career with the Giants, then it's over. And with New York, they can cut him in 2025 and get rid of 22 million in dead cap. So with Jones, man, the lease is pretty short. They can cut you the offseason after because of your contract. You already have Drew Lock, a capable backup, at the helm. And with the roster that they currently have, they're competitive enough to win enough games. If he performs badly again, the man's cooked. Daniel Jones will never have another starting quarterback spot in the league again if he plays badly this year. You can count on it for sure. So you look at the rest of the QB spectrum and you look at all the QB situations with their respective teams, Daniel Jones has the most at stake when it comes to his career. Plain and simple. All right. Got that out of the way. Last segment for this episode. We are at 28 minutes. Yeah, it's going to be a lot shorter compared to all the other ones. But, hey, sometimes short and simple is just enough. All right, let's go. Now we move on to the top 5 teams in the NFL that are under the most pressure heading into this year. And at 5, I'm going to start with the Jacksonville Jaguars. At the end of the 2023 season, the Jaguars were seen as one of the best up and coming teams in the entire league. They won 5 straight to go 9-8, and in the wild card round, obviously you had that crazy comeback against the Chargers, won big at home, and then in the divisional round, you gave the Chiefs a good enough fight. So the expectation heading to 2023 for the Jaguars team was them continuing off their success and potentially being a dark horse Super Bowl contender. And for the most part, in 23, it was right. I mean, heading into December, they had an 8-3 start. Obviously, you had a lot of bumps Along the road, the defense was very mediocre at times. The offense, especially with Calvin Ridley within that new unit, had a lot of struggles, a lot of growing pains. But they were 8-3. They were still in a very good spot to take the AFC South once again. But then, but as we know, the wheels fell off. They lose 5 of their last 6 games, ended 9-8. Lawrence struggled a lot against a ton of very good defenses. The defense was really bad in that stretch as well, and ultimately they missed the playoffs. So right now, heading to 2024, in a much stacked in a very stacked AFC South, you have the Texans having prime position of the division. The Colts, they have a lot of talented pieces. Anthony Richardson in his first full year as a starting quarterback. Even with the Titans, they're looking to be a very scrappy team that nobody wants to play against this year. So for Jacksonville, Lawrence got his big contract extension after a very disappointing year. He's getting 55 mil a year, a ton less roster construction after that deal. Look, man, a team that a year ago were seen as a very bright, young, and up and coming team, they're now an afterthought. And especially with Trevor Lawrence having the hype he had coming out of Clemson, that's just very disappointing. Very, very disappointing. And if the Jaguars miss the playoffs again, they, especially if they finish below 500, I expect there to be a lot of changes, including Doug Peterson, their head coach. I think this is his, make or break year. If they miss the playoffs again, he's gone, and I think a lot of people will follow suit along with Peterson as well. So with Jacksonville, I think um I think they should be in this list for sure. And if they don't succeed, then it's a big yikes. A ton of question marks are going to be around this Jaguars team moving forward, man, if they don't pull it off. All right, to number 4, we'll go to the NFC, and let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, last year they had the massive collapse. They were the first team to start the year off. They were the first team in NFL history to go 10-1 and lose in the playoffs, their first playoff game. The embarrassment at Tampa Bay in the wild card round, so much drama. The offensive scheme was abysmal this year. Nick Sirianni got exposed as a head coach. And heading into 2023, a lot of personnel got changed within the coaching staff, hiring both Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore to help out Sirianni. With this core, I know they lost Jason Kelsey. He retired in the offseason. But with this Eagles core, on paper, they're a very talented unit. And in the NFC, with the team they have right now, they're going to be a Super Bowl contender. The expectation is to make it to at least the NFC title game. Bare minimum. And for Philly, if they don't do that, again, the question marks around this team with Nick Sirianni, whom I believe, if they don't perform well, he's gone as the head coach. He's getting fired. I thought he should have gotten fired last year, but this is his last chance. Howie Roseman too, as the GM, with all the moves he's made, there could be a lot of speculation with his job and him not getting it done. to bring in a more adequate unit, especially on the defensive side of the ball. For Philly, you're in the NFC East, which I believe is going to be one of the weaker, one of yeah, one of the weaker divisions in this entire league this season. I don't think the Cowboys are gonna be as great this year as well. I think they dipped a ton when it comes to talent. Hey, for Philly, this is one of the last few chances you guys have at making a deep run. Simple as that. Simple, very, very simple as that. All right. Heading to number 3, I have another NFC North, NFC East team, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. 12, yeah, three straight seasons of 12 wins, no NFC championship appearances. Last year, that was your guys' best chance to make the Super Bowl. The Lions were very inexperienced. The Eagles were in turmoil. That was your chance. That was your best shot. And in the wild card game, at home against the 7th seed in the Green Bay Packers, I completely blew it. Got blown out at home. Another disappointing January. And for Dallas, obviously we had the CD drama. Mike McCarthy, if they disappoint once again, he'll most likely be out. Dak Prescott will just be his last year with the Cowboys as well too. The time's now. The time is desperately now for this Cowboys team to make a deep run to even go to Super Bowl. You know, not even Super Bowl, just to go to the NFC title game. It has been 29. So, yeah, no, not 21. 28 years since that last happened. That is pitiful, especially with a team as historically great as the Dallas Cowboys. And Jerry Jones has expressed his frustration throughout the entire offseason. And if they disappoint again, you're going to see a lot of changes. A lot of a lot of big changes, major changes with the quarterback and head coach especially. And I think that's gonna happen too. Because it is Dallas. I don't want to be like that, but it is what it is. You are who you are. All right, last two teams. Number 2, I have the New York Jets. A-Rod's back. His first full year with the Jets, hopefully. And with him being a free agent in 2026, they now have a 2-year window, this Jets team, to make a deep run and potentially win a Super Bowl. And with this defense, they won 7 games last year all by themselves. All by themselves under an abysmal offense. So for Aaron Rodgers, heading to this year, the goal and expectation is for them to at least make the AFC title game. Bare minimum. With the run game, Breece Hall, he's emerged as one of the premier running backs in the NFL. Garrett Wilson, I think, is already a top 10 wide receiver in this league. He should have a phenomenal year with a full season of A-Rod. And the defense, like I've said before, they're the clear best defensive unit in the entire league. You can win a Super Bowl with that defensive unit. Quincy Williams, Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed. it's a stacked unit. So for this Jets team and for Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh, whose tenure with New York, it's on the line this season. If they blow it, if they miss the playoffs, God forbid, then it's over. They're going to clean house. The excuse of Rodgers having the Achilles tear last year and not playing, it's over. You don't have that grace period anymore. It's time to get results. It's time for this Jets team, who've historically been a disappointment, especially since 2000, disappointed year after year after year. It's time to make the playoffs. It's time to be a real serious contender in the AFC. And it's time to win some games. It's time. It, it, it just is. It's time. It's a make it or break it year for New York, man. Number one on my list, I have the Super Bowl runner up from last year, and that is the San Francisco 49ers. Mooney Ward, Halufanga, and Brandon Ayuk are all going to be free agents in 2025, that offseason. Trent Williams, he hasn't attended practice. He is partaking in an ongoing holdout with the Niners front office so far. And we know his impact, especially these past couple seasons, Williams being on that O-line at left tackle. If he's gone, then the O-line is absolutely abysmal. It's the worst in the league by far. You look down the line, George Kittle is getting older. Christian McCaffrey, how much does he have left in the tank? He's getting older as well at the RB spot. And you have to pay Brock Purdy really soon an estimated $65 million. So, with all the talent you have right now, if you pay Purdy that much money, say goodbye. You're not going to pay all those guys like big money because of Purdy's contract extension. And so, for San Fran, Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, their GM, within this era, 4 NFC titles, NFC Championship appearances, 2 Super Bowl appearances, no Super Bowl wins. And in those 2 versus Kansas City, they're very winnable games. Very, very winnable. And so for this Niners team, this season, based off the amount of drama, the amount of big names who need contract extensions down the line, and just the sheer aging core that they have right now, I think this is the Niners' last chance to win a championship with this current team they have right now. It really is. Just looking at it for what it is right now. We'll have to see, though. We will have to see. But in my honest opinion, with the Niners, they have the most pressure to win a chip this year. For sure. For sure. Again, the amount of high-end talent plus the amount of aging players on this roster, they have a very limited window. It is super limited. And I truly believe it's going to be their last chance at winning the Lombardi. All right. That is it for my list. Shoot. Hope y'all enjoyed that whole discussion. Excuse me. If you guys have made it this far, please drop a like and comment in the comment section. We would greatly appreciate your love and support. Follow us on all of our social media platforms: YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, all with the handle at Lunch and Debates. For our YouTube, we are currently at 970 subscribers. We need to hit 1K. We gotta hit 1K really soon. Let's just say we gotta hit 1K before the end of September. Let's do that. I think we can really hit that goal. We didn't hit the summer goal this year, but that's okay. The growth's still coming. The views are still coming in. The followers are still coming in. The discussion is growing more and more. But let's get that 1K mark over with. Let's get it done, man. I believe you can do it. Okay. That's all I had to say. Hope we're having a wonderful day so far, man. And yeah, that's it for me. We'll see y'all next week, hopefully. All right. Peace.